You can now start.
Shall I start?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Good evening. Indian section on Zoom platform. On KATHOPNISHAD part 3. First prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Come back. Although Brother Pandey ji will well known to senior members of Theosophical Society, but I would like to introduce him for a brief of Panda ji from NIT Raulkela. After that, he joined UCO Bank in 1973. 25 of Vigilance HRD. His hobbies are trekking in Himalayas, reading and writing. He has published 4 books, 3 on Himalayas, 1 on Upanishads. Around 30 articles were published in different reputed journals and magazines. He is a member of Theosophical Society for the last 18 years. Out of which 10 years as president of Sambalpur Lodge. He is also a patron and life member of Divine Life Society, Rishikesh. Now I request Brother Pandaji, please enrich us by your in-depth knowledge of the subject, that is KATHOPNISHAD. Brother Pandaji.
Namaskar. Thank you, sister, for your kind introduction, which I don't know whether I deserve or not, but you have introduced me very nicely. At the outset, let me recite the Santi mantra of KATHOPNISHAD. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sir, I'm audible clearly?
Yes, yes.
So today we proceed on the 3rd lecture. At the outset of my 3rd lecture on KATHOPNISHAD, let me recapitulate the topic we have discussed in my early 2 lectures. KATHOPNISHAD, an extract from the Krishna Yajurveda Brahmana portion, belongs to Katha Shakha. The 3 characters, Vajasravasa, Nachiketa, and Yama, in the story of KATHOPNISHAD represent the lower mind, higher mind, and Atmic level in our personality, individuality, and being. KATHOPNISHAD is mainly series of dialogues between Yama and Nachiketa. Yama is Shrutriya and Brahmanishta Guru. I have explained these two words in my last talk. Nachiketa is practitioner of Brahmacharya. In the course of dialogue, Yama has revealed 8 Vidyas. Vidyas means meditation. Meditation or upasana. Loosely we can speak it, you can describe it as upasana, but in Vedic literature, Vidya is meditation. There are 110 meditations in entire 10 Upanishads, major Upanishads. But this Kathopanishad has only 8 Vidyas. They are Nachiketa Vidya, Adhyatma Vidya, Paramapurusha Vidya, Angushtha Matra Vidya, Ekadasa Dwara Puri Vidya, Bhasa Vidya, Aswatha Vriksha Vidya, Asti Vidya. During last 2 lectures, I have explained to you the 4 early Vidyas, the first 4 Vidyas, that is Nachiketa Vidya, Adhyatma Vidya, Paramapurusha Vidya, and Angushtha Matra Vidya. I have not explained them as Vidyas because it is time taking. So I have covered the gist of each Vidya. Today, we'll take off 5th through 8th Vidyas, that is Bhasa Vidya, Aswatha Vriksha Vidya, Asti Vidya. Now let us go to the Upanishad. In an enigmatic circumstance, Nachiketa, son of Vajasravasa, was sent to abode of Yama. Yama offers Nachiketa 3 boons as a compensation for the apparently inflicted pain he has inflicted upon Nachiketa inadvertently, but because it is not knowingly he has done, but during his absence, Nachiketa did some tapascharana. Tapascharana means here, he waited for Yama for 3 days and 3 nights without food and water. So that is a tapa. In that exchange, that against that tapa, or as a compensation, anyway, whatever you think, Yama offered Nachiketa 3 boons. 3 boons for the 3 days and 3 nights. Yama, in his absence, thought that this Brahmin boy from mortal world has come and waited for him without food, and so he should compensate. That is the philosophy. But again, these 3 boons, people say, Pandits say, that this Nachiketa has earned it due to his 3 days tapascharana. Nachiketa asked 2 boons in 2 different questions, and without hesitation, Yama granted them without any degree of unwillingness or not. Why I'm telling unwillingness? Because in the 3rd boon, that unwillingness you can know from the dialogue of Yama and Nachiketa. Yama was unwilling to impart the answer to the 3rd question, Atma Vidya. In exchange, Yama offered many worldly pleasure and kingship over 3 worlds to Nachiketa, which he refused to accept. He insisted on the answer on what is soul and what happens to soul after death. As Nachiketa realized that Yama was a qualified teacher, he didn't want to miss the chance, because it is very difficult to get such a teacher in life who can teach you self-realization. Yama also realized, on the other hand, Yama also realized that he cannot get such a student because he is so eager to get that Vidya. We generally even Devas, they neither ask nor this question occurs to them. Devatas, gods in heaven, they do not ask such question, but a mortal boy from earth is asking such a question. And he is not compromising at all. He says, I want this. All the worldly pleasures you are offering me, you can keep it for yourself. Don't give me. I don't want them. I want only this. The Vidyas on soul or Atma. Here, let me clarify. Soul, in Western world, they say soul something which is not exactly what Atma we call in Vedanta. Even Atma, we say in Theosophical society is different. Atma Buddhi, etc. Vedanta Atma is totally different. It is absolute. It is absolute. During our course of discussion that will come. So both Guru and disciple, they are qualified for teaching and for receiving the teachings. So first, Nachiketa gave a lesson on Preya and Shreya, that is path of indulgence and noble path. He then explained the intricacies of body, mind, psyche, this entire complex, body, mind, and psyche complex, as the vehicle of Atma. It is used by Atma, but they cannot be Atma. They are not Atma. This body, mind, and psyche, they are not Atma, but they are vehicle or tool in the hand of Atma. He again says the whatever sensation we get from our senses, they are higher than the senses. And mind is higher than the senses. And still higher is buddhi, and which is called intellect. And there is another universal intellect, not individual. Individual intellect is higher than mind. But universal intellect, mahat, is greater than buddhi even. Buddhi means intellect. And abhyakta is greater than mahat. Mahat means universal intellect. And unmanifest abhyakta is higher than mahat. And the highest being is unmanifest Parama Purusha. Before manifestation. This mahat is pre-manifestation, as we call it in Theosophical society. And this Parama Purusha is nothing but unmanifest being. Beingness, we call it beingness. And this Atma is not, this Atma is such that it is not describable and it is not scrutinable also. Atma is never born, never dies. Yama deliberated on death and fear of death. Here Yama says, and we come to our third lecture. Yama says, death does not change Atma. Death only means that the outer aspects of human life, the garments of flesh, bone, and blood are discarded. The final substance of human being, thoughts and feelings, karma, etc., they continue. All the thought, feeling, and karma of a person are stored within this subtle mind. These impressions in chitta are called sanskara. It turns the sanskara, in turns, the sanskara provokes action according to characteristics and habits of the person, and it is called vasana. He has defined, first of all, the preliminary words. The ongoing movement of individual from lifetime to lifetime is called wheel of karma. The act we think, we desire. Whatever we act, whatever we think, whatever we desire, they create a groove. They act out a groove in our mind. The groove is sanskara. The more we act in a certain way, think or desire, the deeper the groove is act. The tendency that springs from the memory is the vasana. Karma can be divided into three parts. The karma performed in the past, the karma being performed in the present, and the karma that will be performed in the future. They are called sanchita, prarabdha, and kriyamana karma. Nothing can be done now for the past karma. Nothing can be done now. Whatever we have done, nothing can be done. Nothing can be done now about the karma performed in the past. Those are sorrows already sought. Those are arrows already sought. Arrows once leave the bow cannot be called back. So nothing can be done. But there is still free will. We have to accept the consequences of already sought karmas, sought arrows. But there is still free will. That is the point of karma. Those arrows that have not yet been sought and still in the quiver of our will, we choose which arrow to shoot and when. We decide and act. How we do so determines our future. The law of karma is uncompromising. However, there is a way to cut the rope of karma and to overcome death. The way is to live skillfully and purposefully. Finding the way to purposeful and skillful living comes gradually as we understand the source of the pain or sorrow or joy. If a person identifies with the body, they will fear sickness, the aging process, accidents, walking across street, meeting strange people. All these are fear. When people act out of fear, they create karmas. Out of fear, they create karma and sanskara that are born of fear. This sanskara encourages more fear. The secret of life and death involves not only seeking to know what is our real identity, that also includes the unraveling this mystery, also includes our actions, words, and thoughts. That is a process of self-realization. But in that process also we act, we think, and we say, and that has the effect of future karma. Besides this preliminary to the spiritual life, there are two other fundamental prerequisites: vairagya and abhyasa, non-attachment and practice of technique of spiritual growth. The two are linked, each complementary to the other. Vairagya is also translated as detachment. It should not be confused with indifference, lack of emotion, lifelessness, numbness, or anything of that sort. We call it, then we call it, all these things we call, say, tamoguna. Vairagya is a vibrant, open and expansive way of living. Vedanta says, you own nothing, so there is nothing to fear. Everything you need for the purpose of life is there in abundance. There is no reason to be possessive and selfish. They are not there to be acquired and hoarded. If spiritual progress is the focus of life, everything you need, whether it is a lot or very little, will be available to you. It is there. It is available to you. Vairagya is this expression of this faith. Technically, the word Vairagya means control over desire. The root of Atma is through overcoming these desires. That requires Vairagya, which has three paths: the path of renunciation, the path of fulfillment and selfless action, and the third and middle path, which is the balance of renunciation and fulfillment. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha, says one Upanishad. You enjoy with renunciation. You enjoy with renunciation, but not with indulgence. And Mahatma Gandhi, same thing he told. There is enough for your need, but not for your greed. Renunciation is harsh and very difficult. It is treacherous path of Raja says, Kurashadhara. Many latent desires are hidden in the mind. Whatever is external, we see it, we know it, but there are some latent desires. Renunciation is a path of fire because you have to burn worldly desires. Renunciation is a path of self-sacrifice and self-knowledge. When a person comes to this path, he should have realized the limited value of worldly objects. With every step, there is a chance of falling. Selfish desire is the strongest of all the obstacles encountered by the renunciate. Let it be mentioned here that there is joy in renunciation. How? When the seeker is prepared for it, it becomes a joy. When much of the energy of outward turned desire is turned inward, the resulting joy is incomparable, indescribable. It is a joy because we turn our senses inward rather than outward. The other path of Vairagya is equally essential for spiritual growth, which is the path of selfless action. On this path, one performs one's duties, dharma, skillfully and selflessly. He does them with full attention, but not for personal gain or glory, or for any sort of return. We don't expect any return from whatever we do. In that type of action, the goal of both paths of renunciation and action remains the same, both aim for enlightenment. People seek the fruit of their action because they don't know their real needs and they don't have faith that all their real needs will be fulfilled. You do your actions greased with love. Great joy comes when actions are done with love. Personal gain is not the motivation behind your actions. Slowly, you learn to do your action selflessly. To do this is a spiritual discipline, a spiritual practice. A person cannot develop non-attachment or vairagya without abhyasa. Similarly, abhyasa without vairagya amounts ultimately to waste of time. To begin understanding abhyasa, we must remember that we are citizens of two worlds. The outer world of family, community, dharma, etc., social causes, and the inner world you wish more fully to explore. Abhyasa begins with balancing these two worlds. When balance is achieved between the inner and outer world, the outer world can be used to gain access to the inner. Here we use it. Generally, it becomes hindrance to us. Outer world becomes hindrance to us in our sadhana, the path of sadhana. But if we can skillfully live our life, we can turn it into our tool with which we can quicken our sadhana. accelerate our sadhana. Kathopanishad suggests that humans are not so much body with souls as they are souls with bodies. They are souls with body, not body with souls. The divine is immanent in humans, and humans are inherently divine. At the time of death, the soul discards the body. Yama told Nachiketa that after the body is dead and destroyed, the soul continues to exist. There are spiritual realms where the soul remains without the help of physical body or the phenomena of the material universe. They live in instrumental world. These realms are not cognizable to the senses and can be perceived only through spiritual intuition. Much of the fear associated with death is the fear that death may be painful. The process of death itself is not painful. It merely changes conditions, lack of preparation, and attachment. The cause of pain experienced at the time of death is painful. And death itself is not painful. Between life and death, there is an intermediate state in which prana ceases functioning. If one is not prepared for this moment, he will suffer mental tortures and will not be able to explain or express anything to others. In the transition of death, before the external vehicle is completely dropped, means physical body is completely dropped, those who are not enlightened experience different realms, lower and higher, Pitraloka and Swargaloka, depending on the previously performed positive or negative karma, or depending on the purity and impurity of one's mental constituents that remain even after the physical body is dropped. For the ignorant, death is a long, deep sleep, interspersed with dreamlike, heavenly or hellish vision. The human being consists of 5 seats or kosa. The gross, physical seat, Annamaya kosa, then Pranamaya kosa, Manomaya kosa, Vijnanamaya kosa, and Anandamaya kosa. They are called seats because they cover Atma as seat covers the soul. They are described as being performed of successive layers, one upon the other. The physical seat is the outermost and the blissful seat is the innermost. The Atma, though covered by these seats, remains separate and detached from all the 5 seats. Ignorant souls go to heaven or return to earth for the satisfaction of their unfulfilled desires. He who desires is born. One who does not desire is not born. According to the theory of rebirth, a soul is born again and again, depending on the merits and demerits of its action, so that in every successive birth, it may acquire more and more knowledge, and in the end, attain perfection. Each person is born into a world that has been fashioned through the personal karmas of his or her past. According to our desires and tendencies, we are born on higher or lower plane, consisting of the various gradation in the subtleties, the levels of purification, of the subtlest seats, the purification of the subtlest seat. That means Anandamaya kosa. That is the subtlest seat. A liberated soul who has direct experience of the Atma does not come back to physical plane unless he chooses to serve others. Such a Jivatma is no longer thrust into the dualities like bondage versus liberation. The enlightened soul has bound all the strands of karma which bind other human beings. Such a one wields free will and chooses whether to be reborn or to merge with Absolute. If choice is for rebirth, the circumstances of that birth are also consciously selected. Such souls, according to Buddhism, are called arhats. Sorry. All inanimate and animate matter objects of this universe are made of vibrations of prana. The vibration of prana is at root of all universal phenomena and is prime cause of all events happening in the universe. The first manifestation of prana was space, akasa, which is gradually evolved into the phenomenal universe. The entire universe is a living organism. Yama express.
प्रयाग बाहेर जे कपडे आहेत तेवढं काढून घेऊन जातं. आता पाऊस येणार आहे.
Sorry, I am pausing.
Yama,
थोडेसे मी सुकायला ठेवलेत. मी सुतरे आणले ना. 2-4 कपडे राहिलेत फक्त. आणि ते खाली सुकले तेवढे आणले.
Yama explained Nachiketa that whatever exists in this phenomenal world is but the manifestation of the vibration of prana. According to Rig Veda, the cosmic force existed before the beginning of evolution and will continue to exist after the dissolution of manifested universe. By the power of prana and through the forces of evolution, both the things, power of prana and through the forces of evolution, the internal and the external worlds come into existence. Whenever there is life, there is some manifestation of intelligence. Intelligence of life, intelligence and life go together. This intelligence is of the inner self, which has as its instrument the life force prana. The objective world is only one half of the universe. What we perceive with our sense is not the complete world. The other half, which includes the mind, thoughts, and emotions, cannot be explained by the sense perception of the external objects. Our 5 senses are the gates through which we receive the vibration from external world. These vibrations are first carried into the brain cells, and turned into sensation. These sensations are formed into percepts, which after a series of mental processes turned into concepts. This goes on endlessly. The mental images stored in the chitta from our percept is called concept. If intelligent mind doesn't exist, there will be no perception. Vedanta says, finer than sense organs are the sensations, but the mind is beyond. And beyond the mind is intellect. And greater than intellect is the cosmic ego. Beyond the cosmic ego is the unmanifested one. The pranic forces has been given 5 names according to their functions in the physical body: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. In the human body, the air which rises upward is prana, and that which moves downward is apana. Vyana sweeps like flame through all the limbs, maintaining circulation of all fluids and energy throughout the body. Udana conducts the soul from the body at death, and by virtue of samana, nutrients are assimilated. When the soul or jiva departs, it is followed by the vital energy prana. When the prana departs, all the other life-supporting organs follow. The breathing system is vehicle of prana. It is the breath that establishes a relationship between mind and body. Physical death is a change, but it doesn't annihilate. It doesn't annihilate the subconscious mind or soul. Death is not merely a necessary pause in a soul's journey to the eternal. It is passage also for its use. Yama calls the body the palace of the king. The king in Atma. This is also Vidya. Ekadasa Dwarapuri Vidya, Ekadasa Dwarapuri Vidya. 7 of these gates are sensory: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. 3 more gates, including the navel and generating and excretory system, are there. 3 more doors. The final gate, unknown to common man, is the Brahmarandra, which is the 11th one, situated at the center of the brain. It is the seat of infinite and seat of the king Atma. From this seat, Atma guides and directs all the attendants: mind, intellect, sense perception, and gross senses. The first 10 gates are passageway to worldly life. Brahmarandra is the opening of divine and eternal life. When the gateway to the external world and the eternal life are fully regulated, then the link between the worldly life and eternal life is understood. The misery of death and the great pang of fear that are associated with death disappear at this point. And this is Ekadasa Dwarapuri Vidya. I remember in 2012 or 13, I went to Bhubaneswar to take a series of study classes. And there I dealt with all these Vidyas. Many of them, not all, many of them. When all senses are withdrawn from the organs and are silenced, when the mind is quiet and still, and thoughts do not disturb the mind, in that state, the glory of Atma is realized and bliss dawns upon the horizon. That is the state of Samadhi. The highest state of Samadhi is not at all similar to death. Samadhi is a state of enlightenment, while death is an experience in darkness of ignorance. In relative world, the soul experiences 3 different states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. In the 4th state, known as Turiya, Atma is in its true nature. Turiya means the 4th, and the 4th state is in true nature. Turiya, the superconscious state, is synonymous with Samadhi. There are 2 types of Samadhi: Sabikalpa and Nirvikalpa. During Sabikalpa Samadhi, the yogi looks at his own physical and mental states and behave as though they do not belong to him. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, one is free from all these attachments. They never come to the mind. They never recognize, they do not recognize such presence. After explaining individual jiva's status and intricacies of body-mind complex, Yama goes on explaining that the essence of everything is Atma or Brahma. He compares the presence of Brahma everywhere with that of Agni, Vayu, Surya in different names and forms. Agnir yathaipo bhuvanam pravishto rupam pratirupo vabhuva. Ekas tatha sarvabhutam taratma rupam pratirupo bahishcha. Vayur yathaiko bhuvanam pravishto rupam pratirupo vabhuva. Ekas tatha sarvabhutam taratma rupam pratirupo bahishcha. Suryo yatha sarvalokasya chakyur nalipyate chakyusair va yadosai. Ekas tatha sarvabhutam taratma nalipyate loka dukkhena bahya. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भाति कुत जमग्नि तमेव भान्तम अनुभाति सर्वम तस्य भाषा सर्वविदम विभाति. These constitute 2 vidyas, and I will explain them. Fire takes the form of oven fire for cooking, Jatharagni inside us to digest, Homagni for performing sacrifice, yajna. The fire in the crematorium, we call Jui in Hindi, Jui. In Oriya, we call it Jui, Smasana Jui. Fire in neonatal chamber, we call Entubisalo. But its essence is heat and warmth. So ekam, रूपम रूपम प्रति रूप बहिष्य. बाहर से देखने से ऐसा लगता है, लेकिन the essence is the same. Same thing is the case of Vayu. Vayu also takes Vayur Yathaiko Bhuvanam Pravistu Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva Ekas Tatha Sarvabhutam Taratma Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Vahishya. Vayu also takes the form of wind, tornado, storm, Malaya, Samira, etc. terms, name and forms, but its essence is diffusion. Similar is the case of Surya, whose essence is to give light. All these elements are present everywhere with different names and forms, but they never take those forms and names. They never confine themselves to those forms and they're independent. They can move from this form to that form, this name to that name, and so on. Brahma also is present everywhere. Like that, Brahma also is present everywhere, but is not attached to any form, name, or property. No object has any power to function in the absence of Brahma. Sun doesn't illuminate, nor moon, nor Vidyut. What to talk of Yama or Agni? It is Brahma alone who illuminates everything. Everything also, everything else illuminate after Brahma. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. All these Surya, Chandra, etc., they illuminate after getting illumination from that Brahma. Tasya bhasa. Anubhati means after bha. Bha means to illuminate. So after Brahma illuminates, all these Surya, Chandra, and etc., they illuminate. There is a saying in Sufism, सबका झूला भरा हुआ है लेकिन कोई नहीं जानता दाता कौन. सबका झूला भरा हुआ है लेकिन कोई नहीं जानता दाता कौन. सबका मुंह में एक आवाज, ये मेरा वो तेरा. Then it comes to Asvatha Vidya. I'll conclude within say 4 or 5 minutes. Give me another 4 or 5 minutes. Thank you so much for tolerating me for such a long period. But then another 4 or 5 minutes. Urdhamulo abak sakha esho asvatha sanatana tadeva sukram tad brahma tadeva mrutamuchyate tasmin lokashrita sarve tadunante tikaschana etad vaitat. The tree of life, the tree of creation, the tree of world has its root upwards in the unmanifest, which is rooted in divine being. Its branches spread below as the manifested universe. The tree is inclusive of great miseries like birth, old age, grief, and death. It changes every moment. It's a symbol, this tree of Asvatha, whose root is the sky, upward. Generally, you have seen the roots of every plant goes deeper into the earth, downward. But this tree is peculiar. Why? It is samsara tree of samsara. The tree is inclusive of great miseries like birth, old age, grief, and death. It changes every moment. It is now seen and now not seen, like water in the mirage. It has a beginning and an end, and can be fell down, as in other case, other tree also can. It is the cause of great doubts and confusion. This tree has grown out of the potency of ignorance, desire, and action. It has grown out of sprout of Hiranyagarbha, who combines in himself cosmic knowledge and action. The branches of this tree consist of various subtle bodies of the individuals. It has a proud stature through being watered by the desires. It is watered by the desires. The very essence of the tree, it lives, is water, and desire, it is watered by desire. And that desire which craves for the individuals, its boards consist of objects of mind and the senses. Objects of the mind and senses, not mind and senses, but the objects of the senses. Its leaves consist of the knowledge that is got from scripture, tradition, logic, and learning. It has the flower of impulses for sacrifice, charity, austerity, etc. Its essence is the experience of pleasure and pain. Its root is fastened tightly because of the constant watering through the intense longings. It is inhabited by several birds called individuals from Brahma down to inanimate matter. It is full of Brahma, from Brahma down to inanimate matter, not Brahma. It will be confusing if I say Brahma. Brahma. It is full of tumultuous noises like those of weeping, shouting, playing, joking, singing, dancing. This tree can be cut down with the strong weapon of detachment and self-knowledge. You have seen trees, birds are there. They produce various types of sounds. And here the poet of the Rishi of the Vedanta, the Upanishad, he has taken that as a symbol and says that those sounds are nothing but the sound coming from us. And it is in the form of weeping, shouting, playing, joking, singing, dancing. That means all these factors are there as a part of the tree, not out of the tree. This tree can be cut down with strong weapons of detachment and self-knowledge. Its various parts are different worlds inhabited by celestial beings, human beings, beasts, demons, etc. This tree is ultimately based on the pure essence of self-luminous consciousness. This tree is ultimately based on the pure essence of self-luminous consciousness, because its root is there. Self-luminous consciousness is from which it has taken its birth. Its root is there. That's why all these things are. This tree is essentially unreal. Essentially, it is unreal. The form and names, whatever we hear from it, we see in it, all those are unreal because it is experienced as modifications. The change, they go, change is the nature of the samsara. So this tree is subject to change and modification. The enigmatic character in this tree is accounted for by the comprehensive nature of Brahma in which it is rooted. With these words, I conclude. This is the concluding words of Jama narrated to Nachiketa. I wish I could elaborate these vidyas more comprehensively, but due to shortage of time, I'm concluding here and requesting for any question or addition or anything. Thank you so much for hearing me with patience. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your excellent and enlightening presentation. You have thrown light about two Vidyas, Aparavidya and Paravidya. Aparavidya is worldly knowledge and Paravidya is supreme Vidya, which is related to metaphysics, Tattva-mīmānsa, the fundamental concepts of the supreme, that is absolute. And second, you said you have thrown light on the different techniques and process of realizing the ultimate reality. And in the beginning, you have said that there are 1 and 10 with meditations. And KATHOPNISHAD mentions about 8 Vidyas. And you have beautifully thrown light on all the aspect of 8 Vidyas. And I have remembered in your last lecture, you have thrown light that Atma Vidya is not attained by instructions, not by argument or reasoning, or not from scriptures. It is comprehended by oneself through meditation. And today you have emphasized on that meditation or Vidya. And we can realize him by meditation and introspection. Atma Vidya comes step by step. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening presentation. Now platform is open for discussion. Participants can ask questions from speakers. If someone wants to add, he or she is most welcome. Thank you, sir. Thank you. What I have understood, I have briefed it.
Oh, so nice. Thank you, sister. You have very nicely briefed whatever I told.
Shinde sir is there. If Shinde sir wants to add something, I request Shinde sir.
If any questions are there, they may ask. Already, DHRUBA Panda has explained very nicely. It is a nice subject. And how Nachiketa found the light of soul. All that he explained very nice. It is interesting to study Vedas and Upanishad. If any questions, no, then I can say what we understand from all this Vedas or Hindu tradition. From theosophical point of view, adept is not made, but he becomes step by step. From something deep inside him, that is the light of soul. So adept becomes and not he is made. Through an intense desire, through a dream, and then he attains to that particular vision. So here, the whole human machine, as Professor DHRUBA Panda said, mind is higher than senses, intellect is higher than senses, and higher than the intellect is the universe or Mahat. In Secret Doctrine, HPB says this Mahat is the ultimate, from where the 4 Kumaras they came and gave Manasa principle to the human being during individualization. And this human mind, Manasa, has got these dimensions. And as I said, adept is not made, but he becomes. So if we connect what DHRUBA Panda said, how a man passes through all these different light of consciousness in body, light of consciousness in heart, light of consciousness in mind, and then light of consciousness finally into the soul, how it merges. It passes through different stages. So adapt becomes from intense desire. That is called a stage of artha. And when this light of consciousness reaches to this body consciousness, a man becomes a very artha, and he becomes discontented. Without that knowledge, he himself becomes discontented. That is what happened in Nachiketa. So he himself becomes so arth, and this arth consciousness leads to heart consciousness.
Oh.
Then intense desire develops. And then arth consciousness leads to mind consciousness, that is jidnyasu. See, these are the stages. Artha, artharthi, and then jidnyasu. And when he becomes an eager intellect, that light of eager intellect takes him to the soul wisdom, that is jnani. So these are the different stages. From as mind is higher than senses, intellect is higher than senses, and intellect is, finally it is universal consciousness is higher than the intellect. So through such stages one goes, and therefore at what stage one is depends how he looks at to the truth. Truth is one, but opinions may become different, because at intellectual level the light is different, their point of views are different. So root cause of conflict is difference in configuration of intellect, emotion, and ego of human beings. And hence, their point of view is also correct, because they look towards the absolute through that conscious light, whether it is acting through the emotion, intellect, or soul. And therefore we see different theories like Advaita Vedanta, Dvaita Vedanta, and Vishishta Advaita Vedanta. These, definitely all these are leading to the truth. But these are the different opinions. Truth is one, but different opinion. This is the limitation of the human mind. As in HPB and Sacred Doctrine says, Mahat is the highest top, from where the Kumaras came, and Kumaras gave to the mind to the man. And human mind, to understand the human mind is not easy. One cannot go above this limitation unless individual consciousness merges with the universal. That is, Kama mind must merge into the Buddhi mind, Manasa principle. So this is what we can understand. And I think DHRUBA Panda has explained very nicely. I have just given the direction or my point of view when I look into it in the form of the theosophical point of view. So I am relating what he said, and it is really interesting to study such things. Thank you, DHRUBA-ji. You came and
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
explained very nicely for the theosophical members. Something we are not different. There, even theosophy is Advaita. It is oneness of life. That is what we say. And therefore we study all these Upanishads and Vedas. Thank you very much for your coming, and also I thank Sushma ji for requesting me to add. I don't know whether I have added it correctly or not. But I don't know much about the Upanishad. What Dhruba was saying, just I was listening to it, and some thoughts are coming to me, how we can relate to our theosophy. Our theosophy, I am telling, it is not our theosophy. What we are studying is theosophy. So how we can relate to the theosophy in this sense? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you,
your
sir.
presence and your words are inspiration enough for us
Oh,
to
thank
go
you.
further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If there is no question,
You can conclude.
do I close
Yes,
to a closing prayer, sir?
yes.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गमय. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhnaः, sarve santu niramaya, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखाग् भवेत्. शांति शांति शांति. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you participants for joining. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.